She unlocked our door with another man's key. People call me when something that's supposed to open stops obeying. I'm a locksmith, part mechanic, part confessor, part magician with brass. Most days I live in a world of exact teeth and patient tumblers, where a thousandth of an inch is the difference between welcome and refusal. I can read a cylinder the way a violinist reads a score, listening with my fingertips for the tiny pause between resistance and release. It's an intimate business. Doors remember you if you touch them right. My wife, Ava, always liked the sound of the word unlock. She said it tasted like late nights and solved problems. She worked in boutique PR for gyms and wellness studios, where everything is a promise printed in soft fonts. We met because she broke her loft's mailbox lock in a frustrated fit, and I happened to be the call the building manager made. There she was in the hallway in sock feet and a sweatshirt with a scandalously wide neck, cheeks pink from embarrassment and effort. I drilled out the stubborn cylinder, rekeyed it while she balanced on one foot peering over my shoulder, and handed her a new key warm from the machine. She slid it in, felt the click, and said, "Oh," the way a person says a prayer when they don't remember the words. We married a year later in a courthouse that smelled like old paper and rain. She wore a dove-gray dress and red lipstick like a dare. I wore a suit that fit like a reason. Our first apartment had more light than square footage, and at night the old radiators knocked like neighbors with opinions. We hung a wind chime from the fire escape, a thing she found at a flea market made of flattened keys from defunct hotels. When the breeze caught them, our home sounded like a pocket full of promises. For a long time, our lock was simple. The key turned, the bolt threw clean, the kind of maintenance a marriage likes, oiling hinges, tightening screws, dropping the spare with trustworthy friends. We were better than fine. We were domestic in a way that felt like getting away with something. I built a wall cabinet out of reclaimed oak for her tea, and she learned exactly how long to press her body against my back while I fitted a strike plate so that my breath went steady instead of stupid. Keep your mind out of the gutter. There are 1,000 small ways to be erotic that never require a censor's scowl. We became multilingual in all of them. The first wrong key appeared on a Tuesday. I noticed it the way I notice everything, with hands before head. Ava's key ring used to be a slim little coterie. House, mailbox, office, car, the locker at her favorite studio that she insisted she needed even though the code on the keypad was enough. That Tuesday, in the slant light of early evening, her ring clinked down on the kitchen counter, and a stranger flashed its notched smile at me. Most keys you can identify by silhouette. Yale style, Schlage, a couple of high-security blanks that try to look unassuming. This one had a distinctive high shoulder and a stamped number I. Last seen on the work order of a boutique building across town called the Astor House. I service their hardware as a subcontractor when the in-house guy's out sick. Their elevator mirrors are smug. Their doormen are polite without needing tips. And their penthouses are the kind of rooms that make wine taste more expensive than it is. New client, I asked casual, turning the eggplant with a wooden spoon. She ran a hand through her hair like she was smoothing the day back onto her head. "Oh, yeah," she said. "The Astor. We're doing an opening for their rooftop studio next month and they gave me a key for access." "That's generous," I said because it was. Astor House doesn't hand out brass for fun. You in and out late. "Probably," she said and slid into me, hips finding the place my apron tied. "Don't wait up when I'm with a client called Rooftop." We ate, we talked. We moved through the evening like we do, brushing past one another in the apartment's choreography, trading a kiss like a well-oiled hinge. But the key sat on the counter daring me to disagree. "Here's a confession," I catalog. When you spend your life knowing that one tooth too shallow or one spool wound too hard can wreck a morning, you begin to keep a mental ledger of where things belong. You don't dig when nothing rattles. You listen when something does. A week later, she came home with light in her eyes that had a different name on it. "We booked a boxing gym's launch," she said, breathless, cheeks bright. "Their lead trainer is insane in a good way. He moves like a song you don't think you like until you're dancing." "Stefan," I asked. "The city has only so many men people call by one name without needing to apologize." "You know him." She tried too hard to make it sound like nothing. "Locks their storage cages out in River Point," I said. "He lost 6 pairs of signed gloves in a theft last year and pretended it hurt him more than it did. Reeked of insurance." She laughed, then realized I wasn't only joking. "He's charming," she said, as if the word were interning for something worse. On Friday, I was at Astor House repinning a back-of-house cylinder that had gotten sloppy with age. From the service corridor, you can hear the building think, a kind of distant pressure equalizing that fancy properties do as a hobby. The rooftop studio lived in a glass box that pretended to not be part of the city while also charging extra for the view. When you work a place enough, you get affectionate with its bones. I love that rooftop for the way the door closer takes its time, and for the extra shim the right hinge needs when the wind goes petulant. I didn't mean to see them. I swear it. I finished my work, wiped the brass with a microfiber like a benediction, and turned to leave. The elevator up to the roof opened and out spilled a ring of people the color of money pretending to be interested in cardio. In the middle, Stefan, with that kind of good bone structure that makes bad decisions look like headshots, and Ava, headset tilted, clipboard in hand, eyes sharp and amused. He touched her elbow like he was steering without asking if she wanted to be steered. She allowed it like a person indulging a handsome child with a toy car. That little permission is a language. I speak it better than most. I didn't storm. I was on their payroll and the door I just tuned would squeal if I left angry. I took the stairs, counted steps, noted the scuff on the landing that meant the night porter had stopped caring. I breathed. "That's all. You have to do that." On the ground floor, the doorman gave me a nod that said I wasn't the first person that week whose face looked like mine. At home, Ava smelled like the rooftop's particular air. Eucalyptus, sweat that got dressed up for guests, the faint metallic purr of a toner face mist I wouldn't be caught dead admitting I recognized. She dropped her bag, the key ring chimed, and I, absolute idiot, pulled her in by the waist and put my mouth along the line of her throat where cotton gave way to skin. She softened like she always did, then in the next breath tensed and eased away. It was small, the difference between giving and bracing. It's the kind of difference that makes me good at my job. "Long day," she said, and kissed my forehead in apology, not invitation. We coasted for a few days on the momentum conversation can simulate. The apartment was clean. The laundry folded itself. We were polite like two diplomats who remember each other's birthdays. On Wednesday night, she said she had to stay late to finalize lighting cues at Astor. I nodded and went to the workshop, ostensibly to service a stubborn mortise lock I keep for practice, actually to build something a person only builds when they are both afraid and tired of being so. It's called a witness pin. You won't find it in the manuals because it's petty, too petty for professionals. You swap one of the bottom pins in a cylinder, a tiny brass nib that meets the key's cut, for a twin with a whisper of graphite that smudges back only when a tooth hits it at the wrong angle. If a copied key, filed in a hurry without the calibration we pride ourselves on, tries the lock, the pin leaves a faint kiss on the brass throat of the plug. It's harmless. It's a yes-no. It's the locksmith's version of asking, "Are we good?" I put the modified pin into our front door deadbolt and told myself I was a scientist, not a saboteur. She got home after 11, which is either a normal hour in event life or an alibi's favorite time. I lay soft on the couch like I'd fallen asleep reading, which is what I'd done before we lost the habit. The lock turned. She exhaled the way a body does when a door obeys. Her silhouette paused at the bedroom threshold. My name hovered unsaid in the air between us. When she slid under the covers, she kept to her side. I could smell the rooftop again, and something else, a polite masculine cologne that wanted to be forgiven. In the morning, when she left to run early errands at the studio, I took the cylinder out the way surgeons take out the thing you both pretend isn't there. I tilted the plug under the light. A faint graphite crescent sat where there shouldn't be one. I made coffee. I considered 1,000 sentences and chose none of them. Instead, I did what the job taught me. I took evidence and turned it into a tool. That evening, I packed a bag with the things that tell the truth gently. A fresh cylinder, 2 clean copies of a new key, a letter I wrote by hand because ink knows when you're lying, and one of the flattened hotel keys from our wind chime. She got home early for once, hair up, sweatshirt slipping from one shoulder the way it did the day we met. "What's the kit?" she asked, eyebrow up, catching me at the door like I was cheating on dinner with my toolbox. "A field trip," I said. "Come with me." "Where?" "You'll see." I took her to the river. Not the show-off parts, just a little broken stretch under the train bridge where teenagers carve initials into railings, and the water sounds like the city is trying to apologize. I set the bag down on the bench and handed her the letter. She read it twice. I watched her mouth shape around sentences I'd rewritten all afternoon. "I love you. I think you're opening something with him that you won't close without breaking pieces of us I care about. I swapped a pin in our lock. It left a mark. That's not a gotcha. It's me, wondering if we've been using a copy of ourselves instead of the original. I'm not here to accuse. I'm here to ask whether we can be honest without cruelty." When she finished, she folded the letter into a perfect square because Ava cannot abide untidy edges. Her eyes were wet but not weepy. "You could have screamed," she said. "I still could," I said, and managed a rough smile. "Did you follow me?" "No." "Did you smell him?" "Yes." We sat in the almost dark. A train passed overhead. If you've never felt a bridge vibrate while you admit something important, I recommend it. The world shaking makes you feel like you're telling the truth louder. "I kissed him," she said, voice low enough to pretend it was the river talking. "Twice. It felt like stepping through a door I didn't know was hung crooked. I liked the wrongness of it in the way people like spicy food that hurts a little." "I know that flavor," I said. She laughed in a broken way. "He's nothing," she said quickly, maybe forgiving herself ahead of schedule. He's a mirror. I liked who I was in it. I liked being wanted with no history attached." "That's not nothing," I said. "It's a dangerous something you pay for later." She looked at the bag. "What's in there?" I opened it and handed her the new cylinder. "This is a reset," I said. "2 new keys, one for each of us. If you want to try, we try honest. No late-night mystery, no keys that don't belong to us. If you don't want to try, say so, and I'll change the lock for real and help you pack. I won't poison our house while you're still in it." Ava put the cylinder in her lap like it might break. The wind lifted a strand of hair and laid it against my wrist. I fought the urge to reach. The flattened hotel key chimed in the bag like it felt seen. "I don't deserve you," she said. "That's a useless sentence," I said gently. "Pick a useful one." "I want to try honest," she said. With you, not with him. She shut her eyes, and I have to tell him. He already knows, I said, because men like Stefan can smell the moment they stop being a god and start being a hobby. But yes, tell him anyway. We walked home with a strange lightness pressed against a heavy thing. In the kitchen, under the stupid gallery wall of Polaroids and mementos, I swapped out the deadbolt, seated the new pins, wrapped the plug in a whisper of grease, and handed her one of the bright new keys. She slid it in, turned, felt the bolt throw, said, "Oh," the exact same way she had the day we met. My chest hurt in the old place and the new one both. We didn't make some heroic vow that night or fumble toward choreographed forgiveness. We brushed teeth. We watched 10 foolish minutes of a foolish show. We slept close without urgency. In the morning, she texted him from the sidewalk while I pretended to fix a hinge, and then she came back up with eyes that had cried for the right amount of time. We ate toast on the floor and made a list. The cheap things we could change right away, the costly ones that would need saving. I wish I could tell you that it was easy after that, that our new keys gleamed like miracles. It was. Miracles are mostly maintenance. We had setbacks. We had silences that weren't noble. We had to learn sex again like a language we once spoke fluently and then forgot during a long winter. We kept it tender. We kept it fit for any platform to host without blushing. The way her fingers paused at my shirt buttons and decided. The way my mouth found the slow places below her ear that made her breathe like a person being careful with glass. We rediscovered the erotic that doesn't need to shout, and sometimes we were clumsy and laughed into each other's skin with our hearts making a better rhythm than our bodies. Months later, work sent me to a glass studio to replace a warped entry knob that had been sticking like a bad secret. The owner was a woman named Mina who blew vases the colors of bruised fruit and talked about heat like it owed her rent. While I adjusted the latch, she narrated the life story of molten glass, how it wants to be stupid, how you teach it manners with breath and patience. I liked the way she looked at objects, as if each had a chance to be better with the right attention. When I returned a week later to replace the strike plate, she was elbows deep in wet newspaper, coaxing a glowing bowl toward obedience. She glanced up at me and grinned, heat-touched and fearless. "Back to make my door listen," she said. "Back to make sure it doesn't," I said. "Listening doors are suspicious." We became friends in the way adults sometimes do accidentally, over coffee, over a shared laugh at the same part of a street musician's song, over the small relief of someone who admits their work is both romance and math. I told Ava about her because that's how our new lock worked. One night after dinner, Ava said, "You light up when you talk about the glass," and there wasn't an ounce of bitter in it. "I like being around people who make hot things behave," I said, and she kicked my ankle under the table and smiled. A year after the witness pin, the wind chime still hangs on the fire escape, and when it rings, I think of all the rooms those keys used to unlock. Some of them were gorgeous. Some were just expensive. Ours is small and sometimes messy and honest in the way a well-made latch is honest. It either catches or it doesn't, and you fix it if it doesn't. We didn't turn our story into content. There's no cinematic montage, no triumphant soundtrack that tells strangers how to feel. There is, however, a door that opens every night to the same people who promise to keep using the original key, even when a copy would be easier. There's a kitchen where she leans on the counter in that gray sweatshirt with the wide neck and reads me lines from recipes like poems. There's my hand finding her waist and staying. There's the exact click we made for ourselves, repeating like a room saying yes.